same year, will be demolished following a criminal investigation. The family of the boy who lost his life settled out of court for around.
Alright, it's February 8th, 2024. It's very AM as usual. Seems like that's been my new schedule for making videos is early in the morning. I try to get up like at least an hour before work because I am the kind of guy, I gotta have coffee. I gotta like wake up. I just can't, my wife, she can just jump out of bed and go. And I know a lot of people like that. If you're one of those go-getters, you have my kudos. But I am not a morning person. I don't know how I survived all those years in the military and working, the jobs we do where you have to get up early. You just do, I guess, but I've never been good at it. I've always hated it. It's miserable. So my solution is get up a couple hours early. Drink some coffee, go through your comments, do all that nonsense. And then by that time, maybe you're awake enough to not die on driving into work. All right, what are we doing today? This is the Candito 6-week strength program. This is the third day of the program, first conditioning week, second bench day. So 2 bench days in a row with a break in the middle, and they are exactly the same. If you look at this first week here, the 2 bench days are identical. The next day is back to squats and deadlifts, and then there's a third bench day. This is the conditioning week. It's pretty brutal. The first 2 weeks of this program are psychotic, especially if you're not used to volume like I am. So I would say I came into this program severely undertrained. I do a lot of heavy lifts, but I keep my sets relatively small. And then I had that one working set where I'd hit an AMRAP every time I worked out. And that worked pretty well for me at my age. With my schedule, it was a good amount of volume that would allow me to recover and still make gains. That being said, I think I was leaving a lot on the table. And I'm seeing that because here's the interesting thing. I just did that one day of the first day of volume and then had one day off. And now the second day I did the exact same workout 2 days later, and it was easy. I was like, oh wow, this is light. I can bump the weight up. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to cheat the numbers up as the program gets closer to the 5th week, just so I can really see if I can push it. But I think the most important thing when you're doing the small smash and grab program like this is you really want to make sure that you're getting the sets in as prescribed. You don't want to cut yourself short. If you read the PDF that comes along with this program, and it's free to download on Johnny Candito's website, it kind of goes into it emphasizes finishing the sets, and if you can't finish the sets, dropping the weight to accommodate finishing the volume. And I think that's important. As this program progresses, it kind of morphs more into like a traditional powerlifting program, when you do your AMRAPs and things of that nature, and then the sets get heavier and smaller at the same time. So like sets of 3, singles, that kind of thing. But right now, these first 2 weeks are just straight up blast conditioning. And if you're a guy like me who's come in undertrained and doesn't do a lot of volume, I think this would be really effective. If you're a person that does a lot of volume, I don't know how well this would work. I don't know. It would be an interesting experiment to do. Well, regardless, we're going to find out here in, 5 weeks? 5 weeks. We're going to do it again. I was talking with my wife yesterday, and she was talking about how low stress I am for this one. We were talking about like the last Worlds was a disaster, and how I was completely stressed out. I lost a ton of weight. I didn't perform well. She was watching those videos I'd uploaded while the competition was going, where I was basically like, I'm just talking into a camera in between sets, and she says, you listen to yourself, you could like almost feel the despair that you're going through because you're in a situation where it was just a bad deal, man. It's the first time I ever went to a competition without my family, and I was stuck in a place where I didn't know anyone, and my money situation was screwed up, and on top of that, I'd done a massive water cut, which really worked. Holy crap. I went down from 230 pounds to 212 in one night. So if you guys ever want me to do a video on how I did that water cut, I've been more than happy to. It works, trust me. But that being said, there is a price to pay for that. Like, nothing comes for free. you have to almost immediately kind of refeed and rehydrate yourself. And if you don't do it just right, you lose a lot of strength. It's really tough on the body. And I would more suggest, if you don't need to cut, if you can just diet down, do it. You know, I know a lot of guys, some of the strategy of a lot of lifters is to purposely come in heavy and do a cut, balloon back up, and then go. And as a matter of fact, Vasil Gustrov, the number one lifter in the world, he was telling me that he usually trains a lot heavier, like 240, 250. So he does like a 30-pound cut. And you know, obviously, as your weight goes up, your strength goes up relative to that, and that's pretty clear. But how much? I don't know. To me, that would be, especially at my age, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to do that. But the point we were going for was, it's interesting to see how little stress I'm under for this competition. And I'm just kind of going into it like with this program I picked off the internet that looked pretty good and isn't really super specific to me as a person. And, you know, I'm working with some guys on YouTube, and yet I'm like the strongest I've ever been. No stress. It's like, yeah, you know, I'm going to show up and lift. It is what it is, and I just don't, that's my attitude. And as a result, that lower stress, I'm doing way better, you know. And even if I'm not, it's like, whatever, you know, I really don't, it's really not a big deal. I will say this, though, as I'm getting closer to the competition and I'm seeing my strength going up, I'm getting that feeling again, like maybe I should really go for it, you know. But I'm trying to, like, keep tempered, if that makes sense. Speaking of keeping tempered, I guess I should discuss the goings-on. Now, if any of you guys have been following my channel for any length of time, you know I got a couple of guys that like to give me crap. And most of you probably don't know who they are. I don't usually do names, but I'm going to actually say the names in this case, just so you can go. I want you to go check these guys out. One of them, his name is West Coast Wolverine, and the other guy is What's Your Max. Like, go watch their videos. They say some really, really unhinged things about me. In general, they're kind of weird guys. They're very I don't know how to describe it. Like, we're super emotional, angry, resentful. They're always constantly talking about other people. And the reason I'm bringing it up is not because I want to do any more of these call outs or I want this to continue. I want you guys to have a little bit of context as to why I sometimes do the wrong thing and respond to them. You know, everyone tells me, just ignore them. They don't have any bearing on your life. You're always saying it yourself. These guys have no bearing. Like, why are you even messing with them? But I'm human, and every once in a while, so they'll make a comment, and I'll read it, and I'll be like, you mother, you know, and I'll respond. And I always regret it every single time. Every single time I regret it. And not because of the interaction. It's because I know it's the wrong thing to do. Like, I'm literally, like, studying the Bible and trying to learn to be a better Christian, and here I am acting like a 12-year-old. And I'm like, you know you're wrong, so knock it off. But at the same time, if any of you guys, you know, if any of you guys want to know what it is I actually have to deal with in the comments section and behind my back on a regular basis, go check these guys out. Just watch some of their videos, and you can make your own mind up. You know, maybe I'm the wrong one. I don't know. I'm talking about all this other stuff, and I'm not even talking about what I'm doing in the video. If you notice, I'm doing a camber bar bench. It's got a 4-inch extension on the range of motion. On a slight incline, I have 4-inch blocks under the bench, which just raises it up a hair. And I'm trying to lift my feet up, kind of like the Larson press. I know we were joking around about that, but it does work. It takes essentially what it does, it ensures that your back is flat and that you can't use your legs to drive. Now, for anybody unfamiliar with the bench, you can actually get a significant amount more weight up using your legs. It's a full body lift. It's super interesting if you're new to benching and you just started. When you get to a heavy set, notice what your body does. Your body has a tendency you'll push with your legs. A lot of guys lift their butt off the bench inadvertently. They don't even realize it. If they're new to it, they're not really paying attention. And your whole body will tense up. So you're literally pushing through your feet all the way through. and you can get a lot more weight up if you use proper technique. The rules for powerlifting say that you have to keep your butt on the bench. So most novice lifters, when they're new to lifting, what they have a tendency to do, without even realizing it, they don't even know, is they'll push with their feet, and then their butt comes up off the bench, which puts them in a decline, and then they kind of like grind through it. That's really common. Like, watch a lot of bench videos, and you'll notice that quite a bit. Well, you are allowed to absolutely use your legs in competition. Matter of fact, we train to do it, but you can't lift your butt off the bench. So the technique is to push into, like, vertically. You push through the bench, through your shoulders, through your head, and then up through the lift, and everything tensed up, and it's like a full body lift. And you could put up a significant more amount, like we're 30, 40, 50 pounds if you do it right. So by taking your feet out of the equation, lifting them up, dangling them off the edge of the bench, whatever, however you want to do it, it just basically takes your body out of the lift, which means that you're just strictly using your pecs. How much do you really need to do that? If you want a bigger bench, I would say that it'll definitely help get your numbers up. But if you're just trying to develop your man boobies, I don't even know. Like, if I wasn't a power lifter, I don't know if I would even bench. I really don't. The risk reward for what you get out of it, because if you want to get a really good pectoral stretch, you have to bring that barbell down and really stretch your pecs, which is hard to do with a regular barbell. The camber bar makes it a lot easier because it extends the range of motion so much. But I'm thinking, like, dumbbells are way better, or dips, weighted dips, cable flies. I mean, there's a ton of exercises you can do that are better, in my opinion, than the bench press. But we're men, and what's the first thing that you ask men when you go to the bench or gym? Hey, bro, what's your bench? So you kind of, nobody is ever like, well, I don't really bench, but I squat 600 pounds. And he's like, that's nice. And he walks away, and you're like, what the hell, man? So a lot of people that aren't into powerlifting, they want to know what your bench is. So it's kind of one of those things where, if you want to run with the boys, you kind of have to have that, I guess. I don't know. It's just like a lizard brain thing. I don't know. It goes back to when we were cavemen, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. Now, if you download the Candito program, what he has for free off his website, and you pick up the Excel spreadsheet and the PDF that accompanies it, the program calls for some accessories, and you have your choice. You could do like dumbbell rows or barbell rows or overhead press, things of that nature. But from reading through the PDF, it seems like I could pick my own accessories. So I figured to save time, I would superset with my cable machine, and I would just do a variety of, rows and cable pulls and see how that works. Mostly because as the volume increases in the workout, so does the time. And I'm already getting home pretty late, and at the end of this workout, like, I'm getting into my kids' bedtime, so I kind of needed to get things moving a little bit. I would think as long as you're putting good faith effort into completing the working sets and the prime lifts, there's probably wiggle room with the accessories. But what I would suggest is you need to match the prescribed intensity. So, like, the volume that they want with the weights they want, whatever you choose, it should match that. You should be getting that kind of workload out of your accessories. So, like, if it calls for weighted pull-ups, you don't want to just, like, slap 25s on the cable pull down and say that's good enough, because it isn't. Like, that is not the intention of that accessory. Regardless, I will say so far, it's been really, I've really liked this program, the change of pace, the amount of volume I'm doing. This is 3 days in a row now. I've slept all night. When I hit the bed to when my alarm goes off, I've slept all night. I haven't done that in years. 3 days in a row? Are you kidding me? I'm starting to wonder if I have some sort of a condition I need to go get checked out for. Like, I actually slept. And I'm awake, and I'm ready to go to work. It's amazing. What happens when you get sleep? The program, the reason why I say it's the program is because that's the only condition that's changed. Everything else in my life is exactly the same. The only thing I'm doing different is this. Well, hey, I'll take it. I will wrap up with these final thoughts. Somebody told me, like, with all the stuff that's going on between me and the other channels, they're like, they're telling me, like, you shouldn't engage, don't waste your time, you've got a mission, your channel's growing, you got to compete, you got all this stuff going, like, why are you wasting your time with these guys? And I would say I'm really, really good at ignoring them. I really am. I don't watch their channels, I don't go over there and check them out, but my friends keep showing me the comments. They'll screen capture it and then show them to me, and I'm just like, usually, and I'll ignore most of them, but every once in a while I'm just like, I bite, because I'm a human and I'm a man, and like, I don't like to be called out. I don't like to be called a liar, and frankly, I don't like to be called out or called a liar by people that I know who, like, just, you know what I mean? Like, you're like some little nerdy dog gnawing on your ankle, and you're just like, you could just crush him, but you're also supposed to be a Christian, and you're supposed to do the right thing, and forgive and just whatever. And I'd say 99.9% of the time I can do that with a little prayer and some meditating and punching the bag and hitting heavy weights. I just keep focused. But I am a human being, and I have feelings, and every once in a while something just gets me, and I just want to, hop on a plane. And then I remind myself, you're 49 years old, you're a father of two, you're highly regarded in your profession. Like, why? Why? There's no logic behind it. It's always emotion. Emotion, that's what it is. There's never any logic behind any of this stuff. We're emotional people, and, like, unless you're one of those completely stoic types who doesn't let anything bother you, and you're just perfectly adjusted, you never ever have an argument or say an unkind word to anyone, you walk on water, hey, sometimes you just gotta course correct and move on. I love you guys. I'll see you in the battlefield. Do me a favor, hit me that subscribe button, really help me out here. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.